Hello and good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. We have a Zilby here who is trying to soak up whatever last remnants of heaters from this morning. Let's see. It's a little bit low. That should be good. There we go. All right, we'll let him curl up there. So we are continuing to work on, actually we're just beginning to work on the Axum extensions lesson. All right, the plan for this. We are going to build out what we want it to look like, clear it out so at least we have the beginnings of the lesson, and then we can record a video, and then we're going to write an article on it. So that's the plan. And this is what our assumed objectives are going to be for this, which makes sense. So basically creating an extension. So what do we want to do for an extension? Normally I would throw something like a database connection in, and we could pretend to have a database connection. I could actually set up SQLX, but I don't know if that's a good idea. Let's at least get our, I guess we'll get our hello world going. So let's see, what do we need to do for that? We need our library. Do we have one? We do not. Okay, there we go. We need a router, right? We need to set up the router stuff. Solid VVS, hello. How are you doing today? And thank you. That doesn't need to be public. I don't even think we need to do a result. I think we just use the Axum router. You're doing great. You're just trying to put some programming stream on your second monitor to get you going. Nice. You feel lazy today? Yeah, I know what that's like. Sometimes I do the streaming just because it's a way to get going and actually get something done. Yeah, that helps. Yeah, like pretty much whatever tricks we can do, right? Whatever tricks we can do. Oh, you put this into main? I hate it when it does that. Well, now I can fix the public part. Opus Bopus, hello! How are you doing today? Do I want a config object? I feel like I might want a config object. Oh, I remember what it was. It was not this. It was, we weren't going to do a config object. Hold on. I was going to, instead of create router, I was going to create a server, and then we'll have a run method on that. So we'll have we'll have an app, and then that could have a little bit of state inside of it. Cool NeoVim config, thanks. This is actually slightly different. It's a Helix. So basically think of like it's NeoVim, but with some like standard stuff already added into it. So things that I wouldn't have to like add in myself, and it just sort of shows up by default. Doing all right enough. Hacked hacked else ifs into your programming language, and you're thinking about starting a tree sitter grammar for it so you can get highlighting. Oh, highlighting is always nice. An address is 128, but these are they're U8s, and there's 4 of them. And then the port we have as a U16. Since it's stack-based, it'll be the worst thing ever to re-implement in itself. I'm actually not even sure you want to do that. Oh no. Oh, that's never good to hear. So do I want to do an address? Like coming in. I might not. Well, this is going to be localhost, so I might be able to okay with that. But we could do a port and then bring that in with a environment variable. Since we had problems last time with the random number generator. Sorry, since we had the problems last time with the ports being on the same one, I was thinking of a random number generator for the port. That would be nice. Sorry, Solid. Yeah, I'm a little bit more engaging. So yeah, sorry about that. But good luck, and have a great rest of your day. All right, let's see. What function new? So if I want to do a random port, the re-implementation will also be slower, though it shouldn't matter that much since right now it's written in Rust, and just straight up output 8664 ASM without optimization passes. I guess it depends on how it's being used, right? Do I want to pull up the port? Do I want a random port? I don't want a random port each time I run this. I kind of want a random port. You know what I really want? I want like a macro in Alacrity. Sorry, a macro in Zealot. Sorry, a macro in Helix. One of these technologies that I'm using that gives me a random number every time I hit it. But I don't think I can do that. Can I do a random number in Bash or ZSH? Tell me what you really want. Yeah. I want a random port number. But I don't want a random every time I run. I want like just random for each app that I build. And then that way I should greatly reduce the number of port collisions that I have. So it's also not going to be a macro. Like I could create a macro to give me a random port number, but that's not what I want either. I don't think there's an extension system in Helix yet, right? I can't do like a program where I say, hey, Helix, let me like run this keyboard command and I'm going to get a random number. Like, I don't think that works. Is there a ZSH random number? Can you just create a random environment for each project? Yeah, I was thinking about something like that. That's probably the best. I was thinking about doing something like, hey, if you're going to spin this up as a learner, it's going to be a random port just for you, but then stay. But I think what then I would want would be some kind of builder tool to like install and set this up. But yeah, if we end up using Docker, that would greatly fix that or greatly improve that situation. So let's bring in I can't bring in the address as that, right? I have to bring in just the port. That's going to be U16. Josh Finney, hello. Echo random. Oh wait, is that a thing? Echo. So what? Dollar. So wait, does that mean random is that? Oh yeah, that is. Okay, so that will give me. So if I echo random like that gives me a random number. What's my maximum port size? The only negative to this is, yeah, that's too low. And I think that's too high. So also, hello Josh Finney and Dottie. How are you doing today? Oh, Dev U Random. I was gonna say, I've never heard of Dev Uranium, but that sounds like an amazing feature to have. Like, everybody should have that in their computer. And it just like what? Corrupts whatever you throw into it. So what? I can cat 2. Is that actually going to give me one? Is it going to give me like an infinite number of things out? Like what is dev random? It's a special character. If I cat it. Yep. That's stuff. It's not what I want though. Okay, so random. Oh, but you're doing random. Okay, what's that? I didn't do the original thing that you had suggested. So echo. Let's try that. So that means it's never going to be above 999, right? The problem is it could be below it. Which that's too bad. Yeah, I wanted a single random number. It'd be nice if I could hit it once and get a single random number, but I don't know of a way to do like a cat and just get one thing. And I need to keep it above 1024, so I need logic, yeah. Like that would be nice. I could make we could make a terrible shell script to do this. And just like keep on trying it until the number is above 1024 and below 999, and just like it just keeps on trying that. And then it passes it into standard out, which then I can put into a paste buffer -n1. Ooh, let's see. Command not found chef. I'd have to install it, which I mean, I bet Brew would have that. Unreal Realities. Hello, how are you doing today? Generates a random port number between 1024 and 65535. Wait, is that the maximum port? I was gonna look at that up. Is that, yeah. Yeah, 65335. Okay, cool. I trust that. Okay, so generates a random port number between 1024 and 65535. Random port equals, okay, so you're gonna do here, we'll do this. This is slightly behind me. Let me full screen that. Okay, so if we do that, then we can do echo. I don't know why that E is there. That's weird. Yeah, that seems good. My shell is so unhappy after printing out the U random. It is getting all sorts of like little fun things in there. You know, this seems overkill for something you need to really do once per project. I mean, come on. We're developers. When we have a chance to over engineer something, when do we not take that? Like that seems like a shoe-in for like obviousness, right? Over engineered it. Yeah, exactly. The better Owen. Hello, how are you doing today? Just do this. Definitely random. Yep. Random port equals awk begin srand val. Oh no. I mean, we could ask an AI for it. Give me a random port number. Only respond with a number that is a valid port number. So if that works, I could use that as a prompt, then just like, nope. Okay. No, you're cool. Thank you. No. It has the added advantage of always returning 150,000, so you'll never need to wonder what the port is. It's like the relevant XKCD. It was random. I like how you actually get a random port and then you're printing 1500 anyways. You know, like you're just ignoring all the other work that you did. Okay, yeah. Just because I don't want to think about like randomness, I'm gonna do this. Copy you. I have a feeling that this shell is a little bit upset at me. Just a hunch. Just a thought. We're just gonna make that go away. Fun fact, Sony did exactly that in a random number generator for the PS3. They created all the logic and accidentally just had it return 3. Oh, that was probably some test, right? There was some like test they did to see if it was returning properly, and they forgot to remove it before they shipped it, and it was like, oh no. Why do I have, I don't remember why I had all the those things commented out, but here, we're gonna do this is random, create a random port. Nope. What actually before I do that? Do I do that in ZSH? I don't remember anymore. I just want to do the echo. That. So that sends it out. So if I close and exit, we're going to resource. Now I can do random port pipe to pb copy. Now now I can paste that in and we have it. Okay, so we have you, you're good to go. That's all good. So we're gonna have a run. You're gonna have to be async. We're gonna create the router. Oh, we need to use the tracing. We need a tracing subscriber thing. Was it default format or wait? Oh, wait, it was like format or format. It was like format in it. That's what that was. Really got it. Understand. Okay, so let me do that. Let me do that. The address. What's the adder? It's something adder. What are you that I need? It's the something in standard net, I think. Oh no, IP address? IP adder. I think this is it. So IP adder from and then it'll be a tuple of address and by address I mean self to address. Okay, so we have that. We have a router, so then we do the thing. We bind to an address. We then serve with a router into make service. We await and question mark it. Uh-oh, that's not what I want then. Oh, it's a socket adder, not a IP adder. There we go. Okay, that works. Then we're gonna come back to here. Can I open this up? All right, let's see what random port is that. Okay, so we'll tracing that out, but we'll get that printed out because we said so. Okay, so then we'll need .env, which means we need the .env package. And I want this at compile time, so I want the .env. Macro too. Or maybe I just need the macro. It didn't work. Okay, so I updated the crates and you didn't install. Do I need to restart? I thought it was supposed to do this for me. I have the newer version. Aw. Is there anything I need to do to get that working? I thought it would just magically start working for me. Ooh, I need to turn this into I need to turn it into the appropriate thing, right? So port, we're gonna parse you as a U16. Oh, but you already know what that is. So then okay, so you should be fine. Okay, so we get the port, and then we're gonna do. Oh, we need Tokyo. So let's see. I don't really care about the error, so we could just do an if let. But I could just have it expect too. I don't know if I care that much about any of these things. Okay, and there we go. Okay, server listening on port 8137. Okay, so we have the basic setup for this. I want, let's say that I want an extension that has the like for example the address and the yeah, we could have an extension that has the address and it has the port inside of it. Oh, I could actually pass in the server info. That makes more sense. And then we're going to do our layer. Right. So if I remember correctly, the difference between route layer and layer is one of them gets called for everything that's a direct match above it, and one of them gets called for everything above it. I think that's how it works. Which means I think that generally you use layer, but we should go find out. Okay, apply a tower layer to all routes in the router. And then there's route layer. Yeah, apply a tower layer to the router that only run if the request matches route. Actually, okay, never mind. I want to do a route layer because if it's like going to miss, that would give me a, like it would run on the 404s still too. But on route layer, it will only get the ones that are actually going to run, then hit a route handler. So that's what I care about. And then layer is, oh right, we have to do something here. It can't just be what I want, right? Or can it? Can I just throw whatever I want in here? No. There's a thing. I remember. There's a thing. I have to extension. It's an extension. That's what I need to do. Okay. Or maybe not. The trait bound. Oh, okay. So it needs to clone. Right. Okay. So it's going to clone into every single route. So now we can do maybe like we can do a health check. We can do a health check. Why do you think you're... Oh, why are you self? That's why, because I didn't do it right. Because I'm like mixing all my languages up and I'm getting everything wrong. All right, so we have create a router. We put that in there. Okay, so then route layer, extension, server info. So now I want inside of here to get the extension. Which is going to be, we're going to do extension. I could just JSON this out, in which case I need cert A. Okay, let's add that. Hero Dev, raiding with a party of 33. Welcome, 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 Hero Dev. How are you doing today? How's your stream? Also realized that the alert audio isn't working as expected, which is weird. Where are you going out? I think it was trying to go out to some weird audio. So hopefully now it should work. Yeah, so Hero Dev, how was your stream? What are you working on today? And everybody who's come along, hello, welcome. How are you as well? What we were working on. Oh, Crimson Mana, hello. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So what we're working on today is we're building a lesson for Axum extensions. If you're not familiar, Axum is a backend API framework for Rust. And it's pretty fast. It's technically still in beta. There's still some things that might change around it. They're kind of waiting for Tower to go to update before they update. But it's pretty much solidified. I think there might be one more breaking change they have planned. And that's it. So we're building a course for Axum. And then this lesson is extensions, which is a type of... it's kind of a type of state. Some might argue it's old state before Axum then implemented something called state, but they still have extensions. So my preference is to use extensions as sort of like more of a, this information can change. I sort of like insert stuff into there and add extensions and middleware, that kind of thing. Whereas state, I usually like just throw stuff that's always there. Okay, so you're yelling at me because, oh right, you need that thing. So we need to add in server info. And you want the address is going to be self.address. Okay, so that makes you all happy. We have our server running up right above where Zilby is sleeping. Hero Dev was working on BVH stuff for rendering. Oh, interesting. I think I've caught one of Hero's streams recently, like within the last couple months or so. But yeah, it's definitely interesting stuff. It's like some of it's a little bit above me. It's is he working on his game dev stuff, right? Or am I thinking of the other? I might be thinking of Handmade Hero. I think we had that confusion before one time. Okay, so we've got our extension. So we've got this. So if I want to return this extension as just JSON, we return JSON with server info. With server info. Okay, and there we go. So the it's running. So if I hit this, which you can't see, so that's fun. So I'll do a here. Still can't see it. Kind of like below me. So if I do a curl to HTTP. Okay, so incoming body, so we get, I see that I hit it. Oh, I have to go to health check. He's making a game without an engine in C. Right. That is too much for me. I don't think I could do that. Or maybe it's less that I couldn't do it and more of, I don't think I have the patience for it. Because like there's been several times that I actually there was a book that I wanted to get that was like how to make your own game engine. And it looks amazing. It looks really fun. And then it's like, oh, this is a lot of work to make it like good. King, hello. How are you doing today? It is funny. I'm getting distracted by Zilby snoring. He is very much asleep. It's not like a super loud snore, but just enough that I can hear it, and like making me aware of it. Yeah, so many parts to making a game. Yeah, so many, and then you could spend all this time making a game, and then it's not even fun because it's so hard to make a fun game. And that's something that's I think the thing that hits me the most, which is, oh man, it's like, what if you spend years making like the most amazing game as far as you think it is, and then nobody wants to play it because it's like just like close, but it needs a bunch of work to like make it different. All right, so we are now properly, okay, so now I can curl and I get that out and then I can print it out to the screen. So that works. So that does exactly what I want. King, you worked on a project for 5 years and then it failed is sad. Yeah, that's really sad. I'm sorry about that. I hope that you were able to take a lot of knowledge away from that, because it sucks to work on something for a long time and then it fails, it gets canceled, something happens, we get removed from the project before we get to see it. Yeah. You learned a shit ton. Okay, that's good. It looks good on a resume. It does. Yeah, that's true. It does. It definitely does. Okay. So health check. Okay, so this is basically it. I just want to like, this is the lesson. How to get like an extension, and we can do that. We can do multiple extensions if we want, but that doesn't really matter. You got paid well as well. Well, that's good. That's always a good sign. Okay, so we have, this is it. This is the lesson. You rewrote your resume. Can I review it? Yeah. Send it on. Yeah. Feel free. Do you want me to review it on stream or off stream? Because I can review it off stream and then just sort of give you like text advice, or I can just look at it here and we can go. And if you want to do it on stream, just make sure it doesn't have any personal information like your phone number or email address that you don't want people to have. Patatas, hello. How are you doing today? All right, let's see. I am going to wipe out your Oh, it won't let me do it won't let oh, it won't let me do that. Hold on. It put that okay. Yeah, can you take out your temporarily take out your phone number and your email address? Sorry, I like made a green like cross through it. I thought maybe it was like a copy. Nobody's gonna call you. It costs money to call you. I mean, hopefully recruiters will call you, right? But people do like not great things and will like put people on like robo mailing lists, and that's not great. Oh, these extensions. I was for some reason thinking of request response extensions. Oh. And Dodie, hello. How's your afternoon going? Are you going to move on to middleware at some point? Yeah. So we have middleware is down here. We have middleware as a plan. All right. Is this ready? Cool. Let me, how do I pop this out? Okay, so where's your target job? I assume that the links all work and everything is going without. Is this like gonna is this going to, okay, so you're going for backend, software engineer. Okay. So I assume that you're going to change the title based on the job that you're applying for to customize it, right? So like, for example, I know this sort of like messes you up a little bit, but to give an example here, if I do something like, if you apply for a job and their job title they want is backend software engineer, then I would probably send them a resume that would say backend software engineer like that. But then notice how that goes to 2 lines. So I don't know. It might be good to figure out how to like make that be on the right here to like two columns. Yeah, everything should be adaptable. Nice. Okay, so skills, yeah, backend, so Golang. Go and Golang are the two, like well, I guess you could just reorder these based upon what you want to do. Node.js, JavaScript. Okay, so I like that you got the .js, that you're capitalizing the S, the S's, TypeScript. You do, yeah, I guess like because front end and like back end share so many things like TypeScript and JavaScript, don't they? Is React the only front end framework that you have? It might be better. This is nitpicky. It might be better to lead with that. Go with the most impressive stuff first. HTML is not really that impressive. React is, right? Database. Yeah, okay, so all the fun stuff, MySQL, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, Redis, good. Operations, AWS, Google Cloud Platform, Ansible. Okay, so those are good. Now, for all of these things, if you were asked questions in the interview, would you be comfortable answering them? Because that can happen, right? Like somebody can say, okay, I saw that you put Grafana on your email. Tell me like, when you used it and how you used it. Okay, cool. Awesome. I know some people just do like a tutorial and just throw that up there to try to get like SEO, and that can backfire. Exactly. Don't get caught lying. Um, work experience. Okay. Let's see. I mean, this is a pretty standard setup. I've seen this for like so many different people. It works. It's like for a hiring manager, when I've been the hiring manager, I don't really care what it looks like. I just care, can I read it through it pretty easily and quickly? So I can see the dates, that's fine. Are you able to put, when you're freelance, a list? Are you allowed to put a list of tech, like companies you've worked for? They might have like made you sign not competes, not non-disclosure agreements. But if you're allowed to say who you worked for, and there's any names that are like at all impressive, I would put them in here. Develops PHP and Go-based microtransaction while on processes. Okay, so I'm not going to go over everything in here, but something that's really, really helpful, you can switch this around. So the most important thing is you automate processes and achieve near real me transaction processing. I don't know what real me is. So I would flip this around and say something like eliminated manual processing delays, which, and then what that means, like it means that you improved can you like make up some numbers like that's like are reasonable, like not making up just like completely lying, but like can you try to figure out what it did in like a number way to like boil it down to that, like I improved something by like 75%, or saved developers like 1,000 hours per year or per month or per week or something like that. And if you do that, you can then say like save developers X% of time per month by automating processes and automating processes which achieve near. So like then you do it that order. So like lead with like a benefit, a value that you added, and then what that did for the company. The idea here is that you get into the hiring manager and the recruiter's heads and you go like, ooh, if they did that for them, they can do that for me. That's what you want them to see. Yeah, and be super careful. Read through it like multiple times to find those little copy paste errors. Because you don't want any of those to like go through. Some people are sticklers for that. I'm a little bit less so, but some people are like super like, ooh, especially these days. There's so many resumes that come in for every developer. Sometimes you just say like, okay, I just need a reason to not accept somebody, which sucks, but it's the truth. Cool. Yeah. So, okay, you got processing delays by 80%. Like those of us with logic might say like, hey, that doesn't really mean much, right? But like anything that sounds really impressive, like this is a sales document. Like this is a pure sales document. And this is not a time to like be, what's the right word for it? When you're being, not egotistical. Oh, like why not have the parentheses around here? Probably because, yeah, that is interesting. Is this because it's remote for multiple? Because I could see that, but little things like that. So what I used to tell students is that your resume only gets you, like you can only lose. Your resume doesn't win you a job. It just gets you to not losing. if that makes any sense. Because all the goal is to get to a technical interview with somebody who's actually going to make a real decision, and this thing is meant to get you to that stage. So let's see. But like the general sort of like general layout, I would add in this type of stuff where you have like the number into every single one of these if you can. That seems fine. I like do these link to the actual certifications you got, like the verifications? That's good. I like that. If you're ever allowed to put in a link to like a project you work on, like if there's anything that you're allowed to claim that you did, and there's like a link to it, like a front end or something, link to that. Like actually say like what, like a big project you worked on or something. The more real you make it look, the more it's easy to imagine that you did something. Like for example, here, this coin read. That's good. I like that, because then somebody can go and Google that or put that into their browser and actually see like, oh, let me see what that is. Oh, cool. You did that thing? That's pretty awesome. This is great. Numbers, especially big numbers like that. That's amazing. I love that. That's the project you were talking about? Nice. Okay. Yeah, so those are good. Yeah. So yeah, I like it. It's a little bit over one page. For something like this, like 2 pages is the absolute max that I would ever recommend somebody to do. And usually if it's like a physical printout, I usually go and like collate it. So it's like double-sided. So that way I'm also like 1 page you hand out to people so they don't lose the second page, which is, works on it for a bit. Oh, that's the one you were working on for 5 years that failed. Oh no. So wait, does that mean that website is down and it doesn't work anymore? Oh, so yeah, that would be the other thing. If there's a web link that doesn't work, don't put it in there. That's the only exception. Don't put any links in that don't work. Mostly because somebody might go to it and then go like, ooh, because like you don't want anybody to ever have even a thought that there might be something that's not truthful about this, and having like a link not work could potentially do that. Cool. Okay. I like it. I think that like, they took credit for the last 4 months of work on their front end. I mean, some of them do that. Some of them do that. So what I would recommend next is just try it, right? Like A/B test it. Go out, give it to some recruiters and see if you get any leads on it. How do you feel about cover letters in 2023? I feel like it's a 50-50 thing. I think they're becoming more and more and more important as time goes on. It's ironic. I think they're becoming more important. Think of it this way. You don't want a long cover letter. You want it to be short. So you don't want it like to be a novel about you. But if a resume describes what you can do, a cover letter describes who you are and why you want to do what you can do. Does that make sense? So it's a way for you to try to create an emotional connection with a hiring manager or a recruiter like really quickly. Most of them know how to speed read, and most of them will, like, if it's just a couple paragraphs, that's all you need. Like 2 paragraphs, less than 1 page, definitely. How do you feel about blowing smoke up the company's rear? It depends on how, like, what type of smoke. Like, you don't need to go like waxing on about like how you've always loved this company and you've always wanted to work for them, and it's been your dream to work for them for the rest of for your entire life, and you finally, like, you know, don't do that. They're gonna just roll their eyes and just say like, oh, this is a weird. But you could talk about like that you really do, you like to focus on quality. You like to, because there's it's not easy to show like, okay, you know, all these agile practices, you know, Docker, you know, DevOps type stuff, but you can talk about like why you like that. You can talk about like the type of teams that you want to be on. That kind of stuff goes into the resume. Oh, sorry, the cover letter. The cover letter. Whereas this is just a like a cold document that's just like, I am good at these, hire me, please. So yeah, that's what I suggest. And I like this. I like the general layout. It's fairly simple. You can get a lot of stuff on here. You can print it out on a single sheet of paper, which is good. It looks like you got keywords. I would say your next step is to send it off to recruiters and then see if you get feedback. Does that help, King? Awesome. Oh, and when writing the cover letter, you can use something like ChatGPT, but be really, really, really careful that you don't only use ChatGPT, because people are getting really wise on AI created documents like letters, and they can spot them now. So it might be a good idea to like, you can have it write like the rough draft or like write a template or something for you, and then you update it and tweak it, make it your own. Should I include systems development lifecycle? So many companies just do their own thing. That like I don't really care that much about seeing that. Just for keywords, that might be one of the A/B tests to do, is like send out 10 or like 20 resumes without it, and then send out 10 or 20 with it, and just sort of like track to see which one's getting more hits. Like artists can recognize AI art in seconds, even when it's good AI art. That's the thing that's interesting, is like, oh man, they can see like when like the AI art has like the fingers all working together and everything else, they're like, there's just like, there's something in their brain that's like, there's a weird mismatch, which is interesting. All right. Oh, and I don't know about elsewhere in the world, but around here in the States, more and more recruiters are not using those auto tools that like they spent all that money to like auto parse through the resume and sort of like figure out a lot, especially the good ones. They found that they weren't really working that well, as you might imagine. The fun fact, talking to the recruiters hated them as well. They did nothing for them. The parsers, yep. So most of the good recruiters that I know now, they're more boutique recruiters anyways. They'll just like take your resume, they'll look at it, they'll like file it away on their system, and then they'll just like, they won't enter it into like a big system. Maybe like a company they're working with requires a system and they'll enter it into there, but like they'll usually just scan it and and like throw it into files in their computer now. And only if like the recruiting agency requires them to do it will they do that, but they still won't necessarily use it, if that makes sense. And yeah, those things sucked. They're terrible. Okay, so this is where we're going to go into. So I'm going to, I think we're going to start with a hello world. We're going to create this that doesn't have the health check. So if I buffer close you, we're going to remove the health check one. So I'm going to remove source router health check. And so that means in here, we don't get that. We don't get that. I'm going to remove. Okay, we don't get you. Which means we don't have you coming in. We don't need you in here. Right, we're not going to have a route layer. Okay, so we're going to have that. But if I start with this, we should be fine. So we'll start with just a very basic, not even a hello world. We just have a basic application that we're starting with. Yeah, absolutely, King. Glad to help. Your father-in-law was a chemical engineer for 40 plus years and couldn't find a job because he couldn't beat the parsers, and he was going to classes 2 times a week. Oh, that sucks. And he has 2 of the biggest companies in the world in his resume. That's terrible, and it really sucks. And it's one of the reasons of why automation for the sake of automation is a terrible, terrible idea. Like, we've seen it in history over and over again, where we try to automate everything and it just makes things less efficient. And this gets into theory of constraints, which is an advanced sort of, it's an advanced topic in running businesses and like organizations and trying to make things flow properly across multiple systems, and it's counterintuitive for the most part. Also, age discrimination was also against him too. Yeah. So I guess like one of the big suggestions is, if you think that you are getting beaten by the parsers, try to reach out to a recruiter and ask them if you could have like a phone call meeting with them, or ask them if they could run your resume through their system and like tell you if felt like everything went in. So I've done that before. Back during the height of like those systems, I took my resume, I got a PDF of it, and I asked like 5 different recruiters that had reached out to me previously. And I just like, hey, I've updated my resume. I'm starting to search for a new job again. I just wanted to verify the resume looks good. Could you do a quick review for me from your point of view? And then also, can you enter it into your system? I just want to make sure it's actually getting parsed correctly by the parsers. And think of it like a sales call type thing, where like instead of them calling us to try to recruit, we're kind of using them to like verify that everything is good, and then on the side, they know that we're looking now. Not many companies want to hire a 60-year-old asking well into the six figures. Yeah, it's a thing that sucks a lot, and I was really hoping that remote would continue to stay super strong, because I think that a lot of remote where like you don't have to always see each other all the time actually helps for a lot of discrimination stuff, especially like age discrimination, for a lot of other things. I think it would work out really well. You want you want to use comic code in your resume? Oh no. Oh no. It actually isn't as bad as Comic Sans. Like, I don't hate it. I think they did a good job at making a comic font look good. That being said, what Stacking suggested, don't get fancy with fonts, especially if they have a chance of getting ran by a parser. And I can't remember, do fonts get embedded into PDF documents, or does it rely upon fonts installed on the system? You might want to get old school and use web safe fonts. Does anybody even Stacking, you remember what that is? Is anybody else remember what web safe is? I would probably use a very simple, like what we'd call a standard or boring font. That's probably what I would do. I would not use a mono font. It looks weird to non-developers, and let's be honest, recruiters are usually non-developers, so we're tailoring for them. What was the font everyone used for the longest time? It started with an M. My mind immediately went to like Montenegro, but I don't think that was it. Montgomery? Monokai, I don't think was a font. I think that was a theme, like a color theme. There was something else. There's only like 16 fonts that were web safe. Okay, so we have you running. Let's go ahead. We'll quit out of you. We'll quit out of you. We have everything running here, so that means it's time to open up good old VS Code. It was a safe bet at the time to pick a default Windows font. Yes, absolutely. This was back before... This was back when, like, everybody was choosing Helvetica, too. And before web design was a thing. Like, nobody knew how to design. Everybody just used print design. Okay, so we have you running. We can do a cargo run. No, cargo watch. Okay, so we have you running there like that. I can open you up. We can see our port. I should add the .env into here. The web was designed to be a brochure at the time. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody could imagine doing applications. It was a form. It was like forms. It was forms and brochures. That was it. And there was a few game devs that were experimenting with like games on the platform, and that was it. Early day Flash. Oh yeah. And before Flash, Java, Javlets, Java applets, the little Java things. Those things, they were terrible. They broke every like third day or something like that, it felt like. You also had the Windows version that never took off, Silverlight. Silverlight did take off. Silverlight was like the thing that Netflix used, I think, for years and years and years. But this is way before Silverlight. Silverlight got created because of the other stuff eventually failing. But like, okay, so this goes into like the reason why JavaScript is named JavaScript. Because Sun Microsystems, who invented JavaScript, who invented Java, Netscape had invented JavaScript. They were teaming together against big bad Microsoft, and they basically paired their names together, but like Sun, bigger and more money than Netscape, said Java is the only language. Like they went with that route of like Java is the only language now. From now on, it's the only language that anybody's ever going to program in. It's the best language according to them. And so therefore it's all other languages that are good have to be like sort of based upon Java. And so they sort of like work together to do that. The poor guy that made JavaScript only had like a week to get it running. It was funny. I listened to a podcast with about that story, and I'm paraphrasing from memory from a multi-year ago listen to this podcast, so I hope that I'm correct. But when he was hired, they like his boss had told him, "Oh yeah, you might have a project where we can do something with Scheme, and you like it'll be like a language type thing." And then he got on, and they're like, "Nope, project's been canceled. We're not going to do it. We don't have the budget, and you know the higher ups want us to work on other things." And so he worked there for a while, doing just other things until eventually, like him and his boss, or some small group of people were like, "Hey, remember that thing that you said you wanted to do with Scheme? Want to make it happen, but we have to do it under the table. Because this is a non-authorized project, and we cannot allow the C-level to know that this is happening until it's done. Then we can demo it, and once we demo it, it will be like there's a much easier way to sell it, right? Like this is a common business strategy for like smaller teams if you're trying to do change management from the bottom, and you don't have support from up on high. So that's why he had a week to do it, because he only had a week to be able to like have cover from everybody else. Oh yeah, it might have been Red Hats. They had a DevOps. It was a DevOps podcast. I think they did have him. I listened to like the first 2 seasons of that. And then I don't remember what happened to that podcast. But yeah, it was really cool. I'm fairly sure they did have him. And then let's see. So he built it in a week. Now it's not like they shipped it and we had JavaScript 1.0 after 1 week. It was more like he built it in a week. They had to demo it to sea level, and then they deployed it to like Netscape Navigator, and then they kept on improving and iterating until eventually Microsoft just in one day reverse engineered the entire thing and created JScript, I think. JScript is what they called it, something like that. And that's when, in a panic, they're like, oh my God, we can't let Microsoft take this. They're going to take it. And so that's why it's ECMAScript. They went to Europe and said, hey, European group, can you take control of this and make it like a standard? Because that way it won't be Microsoft can't take it and they can't touch it at all. It won't be them at all. And little do they know, Microsoft had a seat on the board. So they literally hand it to an organization that Microsoft was like a pretty big member of, which I thought was hilarious. They also killed the project for a long time. It's the reason we had CoffeeScript. There was a long time where ECMAScript wasn't doing anything with it. Like they got it to version 3, and then version 4, Harmony, was going to come out. It was going to have types and all sorts of other stuff in it. And that caused such a huge division in the various communities that it killed JavaScript. They had disagreements on a board. Yeah, they went into deadlock forever until TC39 got a hold of it. And they're like, okay, we're doing it in the open. We're going to go do it over here. And good luck. Bye. And then things have been going pretty well since 5 started coming out. But yeah, that is why we had CoffeeScript. Because CoffeeScript was like, okay, well, JavaScript's not going well, so let's create a language that compiles to JavaScript. Sound familiar, right? Like this is where TypeScript, sound similar to that. And then eventually TC39 came in and took over. And this is one of the things that I really like about JavaScript right now, which is nowadays, if there's something good that a community has done, then they'll just take it and put it into the language. So CoffeeScript had the most honorable death that a language could possibly have. Every good part about that was completely taken by TC39 and thrown into JavaScript as the language. Google made Dart again because they went silent. Yeah, so the difference, so they came out with 5, and then it was silent for a super long time. And then they're like, here's 6, and also every 3 months we're coming out with a new version. We're like, what? And then they have. The JavaScript has been coming out with new versions really quickly ever since then. They learned every lesson you could possibly expect them to learn, and then it actually worked. Front-end frameworks kind of forced the board to react. I think the browsers had a lot to do with it too, because the browsers were starting to threaten to implement new standards for JavaScript, and things needed to happen. But yeah, this is a nice little segue into a lesson on front-end language JavaScript. And also, there's a chance that TypeScript could potentially one day go the same way that CoffeeScript did and die an honorable death of having some of the most important parts of TypeScript be integrated into JavaScript. There's a precedence for it. I wouldn't be surprised if we start getting there's a what is it, a request for a feature to be added in for types by Microsoft, which is sort of how to get types into JavaScript itself. which is a cool thing. Okay, we get that 404 not found, so I think we're good to go here. So I'll just start with this for the request, and we'll go from here. Okay. I think we're about ready to start recording, so that means Nightbot time. Timers, recording enable. And turn off all of my alerts. Sorry, Zilby, I'm gonna turn you off. And you off. Okay, so I just have me, the computer, and the mic. Okay, good to go. And let me put our objectives back here. And all right, we're gonna do a recording. So if you've never seen one of these recordings before, I am recording it sort of pretending I'm not streaming. So if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, whatever, put them into chat. I am still trying to read chat, but I'm not gonna be like directly responding to it during this time. If it's something relevant, I will try to work it in. Otherwise, I'll respond to it after we're done. With something like extensions here, I can't imagine that this is going to run more than 10 minutes, possibly less than that. So with that, let's jump in. This is gonna be the first one in a long time. We'll see if we get it first try. I'm just gonna drop that. We'll just go and do that. We'll just start from this. Hello, and welcome to this lesson about extensions in Axum. Our objectives for this are going to be, well, describing what extensions are, why we want to use them, and then bringing them into our application and then accessing them from route handlers. So first off, what are extensions? Well, extensions are a way for us to share little bits of data, little bits of information for all of our route handlers, or at least whatever route handlers that we want to see them. So we can think of, maybe we have like a user, if we like in some middleware or something, we get a user from a database, we can add it to an extension, and then that user is now available to all other route handlers later on in the path. We can also put information about whatever, the server that we're running on. We can throw that into an extension and have that available to all of our routes. Now, there's another thing called states, and there's going to be another lesson for how to do states in Axum, and those are also a way to share little tidbits of data between, for all of our route handlers, and they came out after extensions did. So in some ways, you could actually get by with never using extensions and just using states, because states are checked at compile time and extensions are exclusively checked at runtime. And what that means is that even if you say like, hey, it's gonna be this one type, if you like, the compiler will just say, okay, I trust you're gonna do this. And if you don't do that, it's going to crash on you. The state one, which you'll learn in that lesson, will say, yeah, you can't do this. That's not the right type. It's not gonna work because compile. So, okay. Let's actually just jump in and do this. So I have here a basic application. We have our we have everything that we need. We've got a route running, although we don't have any route handlers. If we take a look at our mod here, we just have a very basic plain router. So the I am seeing that we're listening on port 8137. So what I would like to do is just print out the information for this app in, like, you know, just let's just like send that out as JSON. And so we have here the port and then the address. So I'm going to go into the router. We're going to create what this extension is going to be. So we have to figure out what it's going to hold. In fact, we could do both. We could hold like both the address and do two different extensions to show how we can get like both of them together, or we can just create a single one. Either works well. Let's break them out and do two different ones. So I'm going to do since we have, we know what those types are, I'm going to ask for the address here. So the address is going to be an array of U8, and there's going to be 4 of them. And then we're going to have a port, which is going to be a U16. This is immediately going to cause a problem in library because it needs us to pass that in when we're creating a router. So let's go ahead and fix that. So we'll pass in self.address and self.port. Okay, great. Now, if we come back to here to add this as an extension, we're going to use, layer or route layer. So there's these two options. Both of them actually work for what we're going to want them to do. There's one significant difference between layer and route layer, which is that in layer, it applies to every route, regardless if it matches or not. And route layer only applies to routes that match. So think of if we have, let's say we have a route here. And let's say this is going to be like a health check route that puts in this information like the address and the port. We do health check. And this is going to be a get to maybe like a health check, which we would need to create. So that's going to yell at us for a little bit of time. We can pull in get from Axum routing. Then if I put in a dot layer, even if I send a get request to slash, then whatever's inside this layer would be applied to to that route, even if it's a 404 or not going to hit. If I do a route layer, it only applies to anything that hits health check. Nothing else will then have this sort of, it's kind of middleware executed for that. So it's sort of injecting in for us. Notice also I'm putting at the end, the route layer and layer both work on anything that's above them. So if I do route layer like this, and then I do, where's my cursor? Another route down here. So let's use slash no extension here. And then some other things. So like no extension. Then this one will not get whatever, the extension that we're adding in, and this one will. So that's something to be aware of. This is the opposite of most frameworks that I've ever worked with before, where it's usually the other way around. It applies to everything below it. But because this is chained and not just like individual, like in Express, it's like app.use to sort of like add things in that are available to later on in routes. This is above it. So let's get rid of this one down here. We don't care about you. Now to add in the extension itself, we're going to use the extension. This is a tuple struct, and so we can add in here what this extension is going to be. So let's do 2 route layers for this. We're going to have the address, and we can do another route layer for the port. Wait, it needs to be an extension. And now both of these will be available to whatever routes, route handlers we want routes for it. Notice that both of these must implement clone. Now they do, so everything is just fine. But if you want to create your own type, maybe one that like wraps address and port together into like a single object, then you would need just to make sure that it implements clone, and then you're good to go. You can then use that inside of an extension. So it doesn't, anything can go in here really. And these need to be unique in types. So if I had like two different U16s that were two very different things, I would absolutely need to make sure that I wrap them in some other type, some like maybe wrapper type, so that they have a unique type signature. Otherwise, it's going to get confused about which one for you to get because you're going to extract this by the type itself, not by, well, the value. Let's actually create this health check here, and then we'll be able to extract our, well, our address and port. So in a router here, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it health check. We are going to insert the mod and save. Okay, save you. We'll have a pub async function health check. Let's just not take in anything right now. Let's just make sure that this is set up here correctly. So I just want to use health check, and that makes this file happy. So how do I get the extension? Well, we're going to use the extension extractor, which is, well, the same extension that we're using to put into the route layer. So we have extension. So we use Axum extension here, and it's a tuple struct. So we're going to dereference it out. So in this case, let's get the address out first. So we want the address, and that's going to be extension. And that's what? An array of U8. And there's 4 of them. I don't want a comma, I want a colon. And so that's how it knows which thing to get out. Otherwise, if I switch this to a U16, it would then get out the port instead. And then we can return whatever thing we want out of here. So let's say I wanted to return just like what this address is. Maybe I wanted to return like them together. So I already have Serde installed with the derive. So let's create a pub struct. This will be like, I don't know, server info. And you're going to have the address, which is going to be that array with U8s and 4 of them. And we're going to have the port, which is a U16. I'm going to want to return a JSON. That's going to be this server info. I need to remember to derive, serialize, and deserialize. And then inside of here, we can, well, we can now just create this server info and then send that on its way. So we have the address, that's good. Port, well, I could make up a port here, but that's not really helpful. I want to get the port out. So I can get any number of extensions that I want, and the order of them doesn't really matter, as long as it's before anything that consumes the body. Although in this case, because it's on the Axum side, it might still work. I haven't actually tried that, and we're not going to do that today. So I'm going to leave that up as an experiment for you if you want to see if that's possible. So we're going to do another extension. And so I want to get the port out, and this is going to be an extension type of a U16. And so now we have access to our port. I want to now return the JSON tuple with the server info in it. Okay, this should work for us. Our server should now return when we hit this health check route, and it should return this specific server info, which we got from the two extensions. This did get reran, and we're on port 8137. So let's open up Thunder Client here, create a new request, go to HTTP localhost port 8137 / health check. When I hit send, we get this information back. Okay, so our address is 127.0.0.1. Our port is 8137. 200. Okay, yeah, that looks fine indeed. So to recap, what we did in the router here is that we added this route layer. It could be a route layer or a layer itself. If I just change this to a layer, nothing will change. It will still work as expected. And we can hit you again, and we still get that same exact data. The route layer is preferential if you want to make sure that it only makes the extension data available to your route handlers that match any routes, which is most of the time. I don't think I've ever used... There might be time where you write some like special middleware or some special cases to match routes that don't match anything else. But in this case, we want these to only be available when they match. In our route handler, we then use the extension extractor to extract out what the values of the extension. We use the types to figure out which extension we want. We can get multiple of them if we would like to, and then we can just do whatever with them we want. These implement clone, so they are being cloned into each route handler. So it's not, you can't have like a single extension and it's actually that one extension going out. It's a clone of them going out. So be aware that that's what's happening. And that's it. That's what extensions are, and that's how we can use them. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this is helpful, and see you in the next lesson. Bye. All right. Then I was a little bit rambly. It wasn't my best, but I think it works. So I can upload that tomorrow afternoon. But in the meantime, and it's almost the end. So tomorrow we can upload it, which means that, where is it? Where's my thing? Oh, it's over here. We also want to add in here, describe what a layer I just gotta describe how to use that. So describe the difference. Okay, and then it's just do the thing. So I think that's fine. And then we have our content. So then this will be things like, what are Axum extensions? And then we'll continue this tomorrow morning. Cool. Okay. So I'm happy with that. Let's see. Let's get commit all these things so I don't lose them all. Rugmat, you redeemed Pet the Cat. Yeah, we can pet Zilbian. He's awake, so I won't even be waking him up. I think he's cold. He's like bunched up in a corner next to the heater, but the heater is not on because we're in that more expensive electricity time. So that's too bad. But yeah, thank you for requesting that. I'm sure Zilby I hope Zilby enjoyed it. All right, so what are we doing? We are writing, writing article for extensions. So I can get that up. Over here, we've got you going, and I added the .getIgnore, so the .env is not in here. So we want to get, I probably should create a .env example. And we'll just do something like that. All right, so we got the example, get ignore, lock tummel. Okay, so all those things are good. And what do I want to do? I want to, well, I guess this is the initial commit, isn't it? And I don't even have anything to push up to it, didn't I? Because I don't think I created one. So I get a repo create. So this is going to be Axum extensions. Yeah, Axum extensions is fine. Go to builds. Okay, so Axum extensions lesson. Okay, and that's up there, which means that I can go find you. So here is that code. We get to throw this in here before I forget. Okay, so you can find the code for this lesson on GitHub. Okay, now that's done. So we're good to go there. We're good to go there. Yeah, I think we're about good. So that being said and done, Haturn, hello. Oh wait, does see? Oh, I thought I have the restream bot on. It's supposed to restream that over, and this is like the first time that I didn't load it up for me to look at it, just to like keep my eye on it. So I'm sorry about that. You asked YouTube chat, but it seems insane. What do you think about Rust backend ecosystem versus other languages, considering the messy interaction between async traits and the borrow checker? I mean, it's getting better. It's getting a lot better. So projects like tracing are making it easier to debug where things are happening and what's going on. That being said, it's becoming ubiquitous to just load in Tokyo every single time you just run an app these days. Because like, okay, we want to do something async. Okay, just bring in Tokyo and just do the thing. And for the most part, it just seems to work. That being said, I think that if you know, like, ironically, I think that it's easier to work with the borrow checker with async await if you're more familiar with JavaScript-y type languages. So like TypeScript, JavaScript, than other languages, because we're just so used to async await over there, right? It's like the very same mental model too. It's like, oh, it's not available yet. Okay, whatever. And oftentimes I think that the borrow checker won't hit quite as hard for anybody coming from those languages, because you're just sort of like in the same mental space. For non-async languages, where you're used to everything just sort of running in different threads, but you write synchronous code and then it sort of does the thing that you expect it to do, that's going to hit hard. That's going to be much harder. So in some ways, I think that Rust backend is easier for Node people to come over, which is probably a pretty hot take. That being said, I don't think it's that hard to learn, and I think it's pretty good. I think it's fine. I don't think that there's any system that I've heard of or seen that's not messy when it comes to async type stuff. So in the end, I think it's okay. And again, sorry about not seeing the chat. I will next time make sure that I actually do load up chat on my other display, like the other display, so I can actually keep an eye on it. I keep an eye on Discord just in case, and I keep an eye on Twitch. And I tried to do one time where I had like all three up at the same time on the same window, and that was terrible. So I'll figure it out for tomorrow morning. Twitch is showing me offline. That's weird, but I think I'm still online. So, okay, anyways, back to this. Think there's a big wall here. Once you buy into Tokyo, use async await. Otherwise, you go sync plus little magic crossbeam. My takeaway from the last time trying Leptos was to not write any library code and just do dumb things as much as possible. There's also a big difference between writing code that's going to be both like front end and back end with Rust. Because like in front end, it's not even going to run in Rust, right? It's going to be compiled and then run in a browser and not Rust at all. And back end, it still at least will run in Rust. So you get like it's normal code, if that makes sense. It makes it feel more normal. And then when you get languages like Leptos, or like if you get frameworks like Leptos, which are going to cross the stream and allow you to write front end and back end together at the same time, it gets confusing. And it's like, okay, well, am I writing front end code here or back end code, or is it both? That's where it can get a little bit fun. All right, CM Griffin is streaming. He is working on, hard to tell, I see a giant amount of errors on the screen. Oh, PHP. He's working on PHP. Let's go, I think it's his, yeah, it's Vexilla still. So it's his feature flagging system for every language. And he's finally into PHP here. So that's gonna be fun. So let's go separate for him. And there we go for that. Same Griffin, start raid. Obviously, if you're over on YouTube, you can't join that raid, but everyone here who is on Twitch, we're going to go say hi to CM Griffin. I will, let's see, let me put up the ending screen. I will be back tomorrow. I'm streaming every morning and every afternoon this week. So I'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Mountain Time for an hour and a half, and then also in the afternoon at 2:30 p.m. for 2 hours. So with that, I will see you all tomorrow morning or the afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, and see you next time. Bye.